I just wanted to sit on a porch and drink coffee in the morning. And I just wanted it to be quiet. I just wanted space. I lived in an apartment in a loft with 2 other people in a bedroom that didn't have any windows that just fit a bed in it. And I could hardly afford that. So you get a lot more when you move out to the country. And then I just like being able to harvest everything I've been working on and walk around and just pick what you want to eat for dinner and bring it in and cook it and just eat really fresh food all the time. I'm Melissa Rebholz, and we're at Rebholz Farm outside of Greeneville, Tennessee. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I was interested in fashion when I was in high school, and that's how I ended up moving down to New York City, and I actually went to college at the Fashion Institute of Technology, so very different from farming and food. Through working in fashion and realizing that that wasn't what I was going to do, but being in New York City, which is an amazing food city, I started shopping at farmers markets in my neighborhood, and I just got really into the quality of buying stuff that was just picked and it was locally produced. And I started volunteering at the farmers market, doing cooking demos, having no culinary background. And that's how I kind of got interested in going to culinary school, because I enjoyed cooking for people in public and teaching people how to use fresh ingredients. So I went to a culinary school that specialized in using whole and natural foods called the Natural Gourmet Institute. So we focused on using local produce, and they would buy produce from the farmers market in Union Square for their program. And that's how I got involved in cooking with local foods and just kind of being an activist and promoting it for the past, I guess, 12 years now. My plan was to go to the farm, to pick fresh vegetables, get to experiment with an endless amount of everything that was coming in season, learn about growing food, and then go back to the city and go back to working in restaurants. But I just really liked working outside better, and I just stayed on the farm. I came to Tennessee the first time when I was driving cross country on one of my moves out to California. And I just never had been here before, so I stopped everywhere from east to west, and I just really fell in love with it here. I was in California for 3 years after I took that trip, and I would tell people that I was going to move to Tennessee because I liked all the rivers, and it was so green and lush, and I loved the rolling hills and all the farmland. I wanted to come as a farmer, someplace where I could depend on rainfall and where, there was good, healthy soil. And I just saw Tennessee as like really beautiful farmland that was really affordable to live and to make a business for yourself here. And I felt that people were still kind of connected more to the roots of where their food came from and to growing things for themselves and just seeing big backyard gardens and people doing their own canning and stuff still. And I just liked that was really alive here and that people weren't just going to the grocery store and buying everything. On this property, it's 60 acres. Most of that is hilly, wooded area, but we're growing vegetables on approximately 1.5 acres. We grow everything: flowers, herbs, seasonal fruits like watermelons. Right now I'm harvesting a lot of pawpaws because there's a wild pawpaw grove here. You harvest them by picking them up off the ground because they fall off the trees. It's a native fruit and it's wild. It's exactly where it should be on the river down here. That's where it's traditionally grown, in wooded areas on riverbanks. And it's sort of like a custard, like a tropical fruit that it tastes like a mango mashed with a banana. So this week I've been saving up the pawpaws for the dinner on Sunday. You can scoop out the custard and freeze them very easily, and it makes a really beautiful creamy pawpaw ice cream. I do everything organically. We don't use any inorganic methods to grow here, and what we try to do is just mimic the way that things grow in nature. In the springtime, it starts out with lots of greens: kale, lettuces, radishes, cabbages. And then we run the gamut of all the summer vegetables: summer squashes, fruits like melons, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants. I would say our 3 biggest summer crops are eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes. And then we also grow a lot of garlic over the winter that we harvest in June. And then in the fall, we're transitioning into broccoli, back to cabbages, back to a lot of the same stuff that we grew in the spring, like the cooler weather crops. We have shallots in the ground, pumpkins, and then we'll try going as long as we can until everything gets a hard frost and dies, and then we'll just go in and read for the winter. I'm doing a lot more than farming here because farming isn't that lucrative of a career. I don't know if you don't get into farming to make a lot of money. You'll have a nice lifestyle and you'll have plenty of food for your house, and we do have good markets around here. But I diversified and added other businesses into farming that I call my side hustles. So I have the little cabin that I rent for Airbnb, and then another aspect is that I do the monthly farm-to-table dinners that are followed by a movie. So that's more of a just creative outlet to be able to cook and share my passion for cooking with people, and less of a business. I think anybody that farms, not just moving to the country or to Tennessee specifically, gives up a lot of social activities, gives up a lot of relationships. I always joke with people that it's really hard to be a good farmer and a good friend. I've gained a quality of life in that I get to spend all day outside. Well, I tell people all the time that I know a lot of people that live in the city that think like, oh, I want to go grow vegetables, and that's great. And there's a lot of really great books about organic gardening and farming, and there's a lot of internships you can do that will teach you how to grow vegetables. But you also need to be a plumber, and you need to be a little bit of an electrician, because you're going to have to do repairs on a greenhouse. You're going to have to set up irrigation. There's a lot more involved than just putting seeds in the ground. I think a new generation of farmers is forming naturally as a response to the influx of technology and how far we've gotten away from nature. I mean, I think it's a natural reaction that people want to push back against that now. So I see a lot of younger people wanting to grow food because for so long people have now been accustomed to going to the grocery store and just picking whatever is off of a shelf and not knowing where it came from, and people are eating a lot of processed foods. And I think the younger generation of people, a younger generation than me that's even coming up, is questioning that. They're questioning those ingredients in those food, and they're questioning shipping food from, all over the world into our grocery stores. And I think people just want to know what it feels like to grow something for themselves. You give up nightlife and restaurants and community to a certain extent, but for me personally, what you gain in space and freedom of movement pretty much makes up for that.